I think it's two things. I think one, the experience of having to bootstrap, and founders out there that are listening to this that are bootstrappers will know. It's just it's a discipline. You're working basically for the market, and the only points that matter are the value creation, and you either have the value creation or you don't. And if you don't, you're looking for it. And I think that's one experience that anybody that kind of, grew up in the way that I did, that shares that kind of a background, we had to do it. Otherwise, we're not here talking on a podcast about startups. We're, maybe in prison or, maybe in a very different sort of life. Because certainly the odds are stacked against you.
Yes.
I think the other thing is, I alluded to like my experiences, and I worked all kinds of blue collar jobs. Probably the one I liked the most was sheet metal work. I loved HVAC work. I did a
Ah,
bunch of HVAC work and
okay.
short order cooking in school,
Cool.
all the way back to my early mid-teens. Um, and I think, the first job where I had a white collar job, and with Linux I was doing kind of business analysis, a lot of spreadsheet work, a lot of marketing work, some sales and pre-sales. And pretty soon after, some internships and working on the part-time while I was going to school and everything, what I ended up getting exposed to very early on was a general management view. And they would send me and I'd have to sort of dive in and work with local teams. And so, let's see how the Austrian facility's doing. Let's see how the Dutch facility's doing. Let's see, what's going on with our German P&L. And I think when you get that exposure very early, a lot of people don't get it. And then, you just look at the world differently. And so one of the things I always advise everybody, or, folks that are on my team and folks that are coming up, it's you really have to get P&L exposure really, really early on. And even if you don't like it, it will sort of, I think, put context on everything else in your business career.
Mm,
And
mm,
certainly I've worked in some very big companies, some Fortune 100 companies with
yep.
big responsibilities, with $100 million a month kind of responsibilities. And you'd be surprised how many people you find in those settings that have never had a P&L.
Yep. Yep.
And once you've had it, you sort of, you know, then and then you start to see a business as in three dimensions as a living, breathing thing, and you start to understand better how to feed it and how to care for it, how to grow it. I think long answer to your question, but fundamentally, I had that P&L experience as a teenager, the exposure as a teenager, and just took that away with me. And so I just
Yep.
have always seen my career as kind of, the development of those skills, and I'm still working on that same general management skill set. And
What? Yeah.
will be till the day I hang up my hat, whenever that is.
Great advice for the listeners right there. For anybody listening to this show, you probably, I don't know if you know this, but I'm in the recruiting business too. Riderflex is a recruiting
Yeah.
firm in our day
Yeah.
job, and we always, get profiles where somebody will be in the interview process and they'll say, well, I was over $100 million, I'm over $100 million department. And yeah, you kind of are because you're over sales for the $100 million department, or if you're
Right.
over marketing for but you're not in charge of the entire P&L. And I think that's
Right.
really good career advice. Just because you are responsible for a lot of top line revenue on your resume is not as powerful as I had complete P&L control and responsibility, expenses, net income, the whole thing. It's just much more
Yeah.
powerful, and it's a wonderful experience. So yeah, great advice.
It
Great, great.
is. It is. And I think the second part of that advice too is, um, at some point it never hurts to have a Fortune 100 or a name brand on your resume. And particularly if you're bootstrapped and you went through a community college or however you got to wherever you are, if you're able, um, to get that kind of branding on your resume, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
People definitely use it early in their career. to filter candidates, and
Yep.
it's going to be a mark of quality.
That's
But I
true.
think the other part of it is that all being said, um, I've personally experienced, and I've seen more careers accelerated by a mid-cap company that's run really well, um, and by a rapidly scaling startup, not a pre-seed, but a Series
Yeah.
B, Series C in there, than almost any other place.
Hmm.
And I think because the second part of that is, you're not going to go to Facebook early in your career or, another several $100 billion company and get a big P&L or even a small
That's right.
P&L.
That's right.
And if it is a P&L, it'll be something so small that nobody cares about it, and you won't even be able to get people to schedule meetings with you.
Yeah.
But in one of these smaller ones, they'll give you a country. Um, they'll give you a division. You basically get to act like a regional president with that, kind of general manager responsibility, and they may give that to you when you're out of college,
Mm.
which, that's the kind of accelerator. And that's, I tell all the time, I provide, my opinion on people coming out of college, coming out of an MBA program, starting a company is don't. It's work for a founder and a founding team that's going to give you that experience. That's going to give you a job rotation. That's going to share with you, you know, in between meetings, the 10 things that they did wrong when they were your age, or the 20 things they did wrong when they were your age, to save you wasting all of that time of your precious
Mm.
lifetime and life energy making mistakes the hard way. It's
Mm.
it's much more efficient to go work for somebody covered in scars like me, and then I can tell you, like, share my 100 don'ts with you, and do that for 2 years and then go start your own company. You'll be much better off for it.